Jason and Shelley here for another kitchen conversation. Like we promised, we're kind of back at it and trying to be diligent to do these more frequently. In our conversation about what should we talk about in the next kitchen conversation, what came up was triggers, and that comes up a lot of times in my office, and I'm often asked by wives, how should I handle triggers? What should I do when all the memories come flooding back, or when I see someone who's threatening, or I see the magazines in the checkout line, or whatever? How should I handle that stuff? And there's advice and input that I can give, but I think it's better for you to be able to speak to that for wives. In the early days when we were a few months in, all the way to now, here we are a decade later. How do you handle those now? Yeah. And I think it's important just to say, there's a parallel process that happens. Like when guys are triggered, there's a series of things that we have to do and go through. We got to manage our thoughts, and we got to kind of take thoughts captive and use replacement thoughts, and we got to be prayerful, and we got to contact people, and we got to do things to manage our temptation and our triggers. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a similar parallel process for wives to manage the temptation to go back to all that bitterness and resentment, to manage those triggers. So I'll let you jump in and speak to that.
Yeah, so when I think about, the first months after you confessed everything and did your full disclosure, a memory that will always stay with me, I just remember us going to Target, and it was really scary for me, honestly. Like, I just didn't even want to be with you in public. I think we weren't in public that much. It was just too difficult for me, and I hear that a lot from wives. So I think that's really normal. And so, but we were in Target, and I think that just any female at that point triggered me. And I truly felt like my heart was in the middle of Target, and you were like jumping up and down on it. I mean, it was just so painful.
And note to husbands, inadvertently. I didn't know I was doing that, and I couldn't know what I was doing, but yet I needed to own that was happening.
It was just too fresh. Everything was too fresh, and I just remember kind of looking at your eyes and wondering who you were looking at and what you were thinking. It was just too much. It was terrible. So I think I was getting triggered every single time I saw a female if I was with you. And I don't think I handled it well. I didn't know, and I just don't even know in those early days how a wife can handle it well.
What does not handling it well mean? I feel like there was a time we were at the mall, and you were like, "We're out of here. We're just leaving," and it was just so overwhelming. We just left. Like that.
So maybe that is actually handling it well.
And I remember another one where we were in the grocery store, and you were like, "Just go to the car. Like, I don't want you standing here. Just go to the car."
Yeah. Well, and I think there were also times when I felt like you would almost a little too dramatically, like, turn your eyes away from the magazines, and I was just like, I could just...
Like Steve talks about in the book, I was trying to bounce my eyes and not look, and I remember distinctly you saying, like, "Can you just be normal?
Yes.
Like, can we not make this a big deal?"
Yes.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, I think back then you just couldn't do anything right in my eyes. Like, that's how tumultuous things were. You know what I mean?
Totally. I know what you mean?
So you had asked me, what does that look like to... what was the question you asked me?
How do you handle triggers? How did you handle them then?
Right.
What did it
I don't
look
think
like?
I handled them very well. I think it was just very hurtful. And so you're like, what does it look like to not handle it well?
Or to handle it well.
Maybe handling it well was me just saying, look, I need you to go to the car. I'm leaving the store. Early on, like, I just needed to I just needed to be honest with myself. This is what I need right now, and tell you. And
use your voice.
Yeah, exactly. Use my voice, which I was new to that, so that was just good practice for me. I feel like, couple of years in, as we started to rebuild trust, I feel like whenever I was triggered, what was helpful was for me to come to you and to tell you, like, listen, I am hurting and this is why, this is what happened, and then it made me think of this, and just kind of go through my feelings with you. And I think that's really what helped me work through a trigger, was coming to you. At that point in our relationship, I felt that you were safe.
What does that mean?
To be safe, you received what I said. You didn't judge me. You, for the most part, you didn't push back. You didn't get defensive. Like, what? Why? You know.
I think it's important to say, though, for the record, and I want guys and wives to hear this, like, I thought those things.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes. You know, there was that initial inclination to be like, oh, again?
Sure.
Like, I gotta talk about this again?
Sure.
And there was that part of me, my shame, that would kick in and make me feel like, okay, now you're just trying to beat me up. You know, now you're just trying to hold this over my head. Like, you're just reminding me of what a crappy husband I am. But that wasn't what you were doing. That wasn't your intention.
I think I was healing. I was just working through, you know, like, and it took years for me to work through it all. And you did a great job of, I mean, I guess I didn't realize that you were like, oh, here we go again, you know, but that makes sense. Are you tearing up?
Yeah, it was hard. I'm just thinking back to how, like, just the reminder in those, I'm thinking a couple years into the process, just being like, oh man, she's still hurting and it's my fault and I can't fix, like, there's nothing I can say in this moment that will make it better. There's nothing I can do to take this pain away. I just have to listen. It's
and that was
so
actually
hard.
the best thing you could do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Really hard.
Yeah.
So fast forward.
Yeah. So today I am still triggered. There are still times that I will see a particular type of woman that I think, oh, that's who Jason's really attracted to, that type of woman. And so if I'm with you, that will trigger me. And now what I think, and being 10 years in, it does look different, thank goodness, than it did those Target days that we were just speaking of. I tell myself now, I'm just kind of time out, no, Shelley. And I remind myself of how far you and I have come. And, you know, and I remind myself that I trust you and that you have earned back, you know, my trust, and that I respect you. And I also take it to God first. So instead of coming to you, I now try to, okay, God, please work in my heart and just talk to him first, like I used to talk to you and process it with you. I now try to do that with God first, and more often than not, it's like turning a corner and off I go.
You said something earlier when we were kind of talking about this video about refuting lies. Like, what specifically does that look like, to refute lies?
Yeah, I think I definitely struggle with you know, hearing those lies from Satan, and for so long just accepting them as truth, but now like stopping, like no, that's a lie. So whether it's about my body image and thinking women will like me, or you know, these girls, they'll like me, they'll accept me if I were thinner. You know, oh, whoa, that's a lie. But I've heard it for so long that I've really bought into it. And so same with what we're talking about. Oh, Jason would really be attracted to this girl. Oh, whoa, stop. That's a lie. That's not truth anymore.
Right.
You know, yeah, maybe before 2 years ago, but today we're living a different life.